Whenever we do a story about electric vehicles, the question of charging them always comes up. It's especially a problem for people like me who live in apartments and can't always get parked outside our buildings. So how do you do on-street charging? We are on our way to Dundee to see a potential solution to that problem. Hi Ollie.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good, good.
This is the charger. Doesn't look like much use at the moment.
Well, that's the idea. When you don't need to use it, it keeps the streets clutter-free.
And when you do need to use it, how do we get it out?
Pops out. I can show you if you like. So you just need to use an app.
Just like that. What are the benefits of the charger actually going into the ground and coming up when you need it?
We know we need more charging infrastructure, but I don't think we want permanent, unsightly pieces of infrastructure that stay there the whole time. And so this is the best of both worlds. It hides away when not in use, so it doesn't impact people using the pavement, but when you do need to use it, it comes out the ground.
While this might seem like a fairly simple idea, it's taken 7 years of trial and error to get to this point, and the company claim it's the first of its kind in Europe.
It's always the things that look simple, but actually it's so the engineering that's gone into this to make a reliable charge point that works in all kinds of weather conditions has been incredible. And when you're dealing with mechanical, electrical components in very variable weather conditions, you know, that has been a huge challenge, making sure things don't get, I don't know, water in them, making sure the mechanics can work reliably in all kinds of weather conditions, be it a nice sunny, albeit windy day like today, all the way through to snow and ice and rain.
With different parts of the world setting targets to phase out the sale of new petrol and diesel engines, the design race is on to come up with chargers that are practical and can be rolled out widely. This idea from the Netherlands carries the cable from someone's garden to their car without blocking the streets, while in America these charging cables in Melrose near Boston come down from on high.
You might learn the layout of a street though, and if a charger isn't there one moment and the next thing is in the way, you might walk into it, you wouldn't know it was there.
Yeah, so I mean, our main use case is overnight charging as well. And so, you know, generally you'll be plugging in at night, watching Netflix, going to sleep, whatever it may be, and waking up to a full charge. And so we're minimising the impact of charging infrastructure on the streetscape in the day when pedestrians are more likely to be using that piece of you know, pavement, as it were. Has an obstacle detection on it, so it's not going to it's actually going to stop rising, and so it won't lift any small buggies or children off the ground. And actually, when it does rise, it does also make an audible sound, so those that are visually impaired can hear that.
This is certainly a neat idea, but as more drivers make the switch to electric, these chargers could spend more time above ground than under it.
We know we need more charging infrastructure. We need to give people the confidence, particularly those that don't have a drive or a garage, that they can make the switch and charge conveniently on the street where they live. So for me, we've got big aspirations. We want it everywhere.
nDreams reckons it is the biggest studio in the world which specialises in VR games. So we've come to their studio here outside of London where they're going to give us an exclusive look at their upcoming title.
We pivoted to go completely in on VR in 2013. We kind of fell in love with virtual reality, tried the very first Oculus headset and the PlayStation headset before it was announced, and we decided to go all in.
We're surrounded by so many VR headsets everywhere you look. I mean, they're just everywhere all around us here. Tell me about the history of VR.
So VR was always an amazing idea. People wanted to create headsets that would immerse you and allow you to explore incredible, fantasy worlds. But back in the 1990s, when they first sort of were building headsets, the technology just wasn't available.
Look at this monolith! Oh my days!
It's mad, isn't it? It's showing its age a little bit, but...
How bad is this? Do you mind if I put it on?
No, go for it.
Here we go.
You might get dust coming off there.
This is like back in the day. It's barely fits on my head.
Wow.
And people thought this was the future.
It wasn't really until 2012, a guy called Palmer Luckey realised that tech had caught up with the dream and created this thing called the Oculus DK1, which Meta bought. VR started to become a thing. Early on, first few years, people tried sticking mobile phones in headsets and making all sorts of things, which didn't work terribly well. And it really wasn't until the Quest, the PSVR 1, that the headset started to become really impressive. So really the last 5 years, standalone VR headsets have become a really big thing.
It is a bit of a feat of engineering now, isn't it? When you compare it to having a massive screen strapped to your face.
Yeah, but compared to what you put on first, you can see the difference between, between the lenses and just how powerful it is.
Tell me about the new game.
So we're just announced a game called Frenzies, which is a super exciting multiplayer arena shooter. It's a crazy fun game, really exciting, and shows that VR can be really social. It's not being about in a headset on your own, it's playing with lots and lots of other people and having brilliant fun.
Well, I've been told to suit up with my own Quest 3 headset because nDreams has given Click an exclusive first hands-on play of the game. And a few other people in the studio couldn't resist but whack on a headset too to play with us. I'm used to playing VR games on my own or sometimes with a friend over the internet, so it was a weird experience to be in a room with a bunch of other people, each in their own headsets, playing the same game.
Very cool. All right, I know I look ridiculous playing this. Nobody can play a VR game and look cool, but I'm having a really good time.
From my experience behind the headset, Frenzies is a fun shooting game where you physically crouch behind cover or reach up to grab a zipline. There's also a mode where you try and hold on to a peg for the longest, which you could say I quite enjoyed.
Yeah, I got the pig, baby!
And after embarrassing myself and literally beating the developers at their own game, we all took a breather so I could sit down with one of the people that made it and get an idea of what goes into making something like this.
We really tried to steer away from the milsim shooter kind of vibe for it and wanted to go for more of a party, fun, accessible way to do things.
So when I played the game, I found that I did use this cover system a fair bit, grabbing it and physically ducking down. Although, at the same time, though I did do that, I also did just duck down. You don't have to do it, do you?
No, you don't. In the game, you can physically grab onto any surface environment. So we didn't want to force players down a certain play style. We didn't want to force you to use cover to be good. We want it to be there as an accessory, almost, to the mechanics.
So that's it on the outside, but what does a VR game look like under the hood?
The difference with VR is obviously you are the controller, so you have different range of motion to how to control it. But the same building blocks still apply.
Now, if Devon looks quite young to you, it's because he came through the nDreams Academy, a scheme set up by the company's founder to help get more people from different backgrounds into the gaming industry.
We created the nDreams Academy about 3 or 4 years ago, which is a program that we've set up to focus on entry-level hiring. We've hired about 60 people through that in its lifetime, which makes up about 20% of our workforce.
Why is it important to have people from different backgrounds working on games?
It's really important to have a diverse cohort working within any business. You have a diverse team, and then you end up with a more diverse product. The games industry, it's like 30% women, so we want at least that number working in the industry.
The Chief People Officer must be doing something right, because people seem to really enjoy being here. And a decade on from the headsets of old, what's coming up in the future?
So we are super excited about where VR and MR are going. So we're going to keep making great VR games. We're going to keep making great MR games. We're going to be hopefully growing and expanding and working on bigger and better games as the market grows.
Well, that's all we've got time for this week. Thank you for watching, but I'm going to let Amika have the last word.
It's been great to be on the show. Maybe I'll be a TV presenter myself one day.
I knew it.
Bye for now.